You're a believer in Sam Darnold. You think he had two bad games at the end of the year? Because we were talking at one point maybe he gets $50 million a year. He's going to be the creme de la creme of this particular quarterback free agent circuit. Now everybody's just assuming, I guess, the conversation is going to go back to the Vikings. The Giants allegedly met the number for Matthew Stafford. Will they meet the number for Sam Darnold then? Like, what are your thoughts on Sam Darnold, and what do you think it looks like for him next year?
Yeah, it's kind of weird how ever since those last two games happened, it's been like instead of celebrating Sam Darnold, it's been but about Sam Darnold. Did you see the last two games? And I kind of talked about it yesterday. If you go back to when Geno Smith went to Seattle and all of a sudden had that one awesome year, it was like, oh, Geno can play, and finally had the right stuff around him, coaching and all that. And then Baker Mayfield gets cast away from Cleveland and he can't play, and this guy stinks. And all of a sudden he goes down to Tampa. I know he went to two quick stops, but nothing glamorous. He goes to Tampa, plays, and it's like, oh, Baker could play. A little bit like Jared Goff as well. Like, hey, Jared Goff went from, hey, stinks to, oh, Jared Goff can play. And so I don't understand kind of a little bit of the sour narrative around Sam. I think the part of it too is like those last two games, I'm not making excuses for him, but it's the first time he's been in it. I guess that's the first time he's ever felt that as a pro, that pressure, that expectation. It was a little bit house money this past year because there wasn't certainly expectations going into the season. I think for Sam, the conversation, so Minnesota, if I was Minnesota, it would start with Sam Darnold. There's a line of demarcation that I would not cross, and obviously, everyone's correct. I heard Herbie say it, like it does have, what's your viewpoint of JJ McCarthy? Because it's not just Sam versus JJ, it's Sam versus JJ in like 30 or 40 million. So maybe the organization sits there and goes, hey, we think JJ is going to be just as productive as Sam in the next year and a half, and we really need to take that 30 or 40 million and build up our secondary or build up our inside linebacker group or something. And so if they believe that the JJ McCarthy plus the money gives them a better team, and they think JJ is going to be similar production, there's a line that you don't go past. I also, from Sam's perspective, Sam went through quarterback hell essentially for his first, 6 years in the league. And how much does he really want to leave that cocoon, that insulation, that support that he has in Minnesota? Like, are you going to run and say, well, Minnesota's only offered me 3 for 100 and Pittsburgh's offering me 4 for 120. Is Pittsburgh that 20 million that much of a difference for you? Because the places quarterback friendly wise aren't even close.
So you'd be getting more average per year with the Vikings there. I think you'd take that one, right? 4 for 120 is 30 a year. 3 for 100 is 33.
Let's say.
Well, I'm just saying the deal that you put out there was one that I think he's getting paid more at the Vikings, and he doesn't have to move, and he's with Kevin O'Connell. But I understand what you're saying. For him, do you want to leave? Same thing with Matthew Stafford. Mm-hmm. Do you want to get up and move? Do you want to do that entire thing yet again whenever you know you have success here? The threshold is a very real convo, I think, probably with the Vikings and Sam Darnold. I'm also excited to see JJ with Kevin O'Connell, if that is the case. A lot of weapons, a lot of success. Will they be able to do it again? Where's Sam go? Let's talk about another domino.
I've heard Kevin loves McCarthy. Loves him.
I think Kevin would love anybody.
Yeah.
I think Kevin would love anybody. I think he's like a great coach. I think he cares. I think he's a great coach. I think he's a great ball coach over there. They got a great culture. Sam Darnold, let's start there. Obviously, you get a chance to watch him both through college. You watch his NFL career go the way it goes. You watch last year. How it ends is a bummer because everybody was waiting for that to happen with Sam Darnold, seemingly. Even though their team was 14-2, had a chance to be the number 1 seed in the NFC, had an offense that was dynamic all damn year. His last 2 games, he doesn't play his best football. The Vikings don't play their best ball, and everybody says that's who Sam Darnold is. We go from him making $50 million a year in this world to what's this going to look like for Sam? What are your thoughts on Sam Darnold, and what do you think about the rest of the quarterback market, Herbie?
Well, I think it starts with JJ. If JJ McCarthy's not there, then I think this is a totally different discussion. And I think when you have a year the way he enjoyed last year with KOC, who has an offensive system that's very quarterback friendly, he was able to flourish. Not to mention, obviously, the ability that was around him. But I think you talk to KOC, who to me is one of the great guys to talk to when it just comes to just talking ball with him. I mean, how much does he love JJ McCarthy after the year that Sam just had in a time right now where, let's face it, if you don't have the guy, you have no shot at the postseason. He's got a guy. But I think it sounds like, based on if you're reading the tea leaves, that they're going to go back to J.J. McCarthy because they had such big visions of what he could become. And it's incredible. But I think that tells you, if that's the route they go, how much confidence and where this offense potentially can go, maybe where the franchise can go with J.J. McCarthy. So I think he's the wild card in all this. If he's not there, I think it's a no-brainer. You re-sign Sam. What do we have, about 6 or 7 teams right now that desperately need a quarterback?
Pittsburgh, Giants, Raiders, Browns,
Jets,
Titans, Jets.
I mean, would you throw the Saints in there? I mean, Derek Carr's got a few years, but they're going to eventually, unless they think Rattler's their guy. There are a bunch of teams out there that could use Sam Darnold, and there's never been a knock on Sam Darnold's ability to throw a football ever. I mean, that's his physical skill set. That's what makes the timing of this conversation interesting. A lot of people put so much into these workouts. Will Howard, it's like everything he did this year on the field, it's like he had a terrible workout, he's trash. It's like, geez. It's amazing how we look at this position and we forget that it's the ability to process, it's the intangibles, the leadership, decision-making. That is tenfold. Can you hit an outcut to a receiver you've never thrown to at the combine? And yet we put so much into what you do at the combine and what you do at a workout versus what you do when you wear shoulder pads and a helmet, and your ability to be able to read the coverage and make good decisions. So Darnold was able to show that last year. Up to that point, he's not been consistent in that in that skill set, as being able to really break down a defense and have quick decisions and know where the ball needs to go and put it out there accurately. And he put that on display, and he's going to be the beneficiary of that. So that's exciting. That's great for him. And now we get to look at all these rookies, and most of these quarterbacks, wouldn't you say, if they were coming out last year?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if they're up there at 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's been the narrative going into the combine, and then coming out, I don't think anybody has really changed anything. Cam Ward, obviously a superstar talent, great leader down there in Miami. I think a lot of people are hoping. Shedeur Sanders, obviously, is held in high regard. A lot of people talking a lot of things. There are some reports coming out that some people in meetings didn't feel like Shedeur was as invested or something like that. Shedeur also just always has Shedeur is always like this, it feels like. Mm-hmm. He's been in the spotlight since he's, junior high probably. So he has probably built up a callus to having him over-emotional. I think they probably know what's happening already. It feels like the Sanders might already have a heads up on what's taking place with him. If not, he feels comfortable enough whenever he gets in a building to go. But yes, to your point, last year's draft class was absurd. And they ended up performing in an absurd fashion, which leads to JJ. Back to the Minnesota Vikings with JJ McCarthy. We've always said it feels like the coach of the year, Kevin O'Connell, can drop a play for if you can throw a football. It feels like you can be a quarterback for that particular team. JJ, we know, can spin it. Mm-hmm. We know JJ is an incredible leader. We know JJ is beloved by his teammates. But we have no idea if JJ can read NFL defenses. We have no idea what this entire thing is. So in my eyes, they probably want to vet for another year, just to see if JJ's ready or if he's a guy, because I don't know how much he was in the building. But is it going to be a guy that's worth as much as Sam Darnold? I'm not 100% sure. And what is Sam Darnold worth?
See, those are all fair. Those are all fair thoughts. I just give a lot of credit to KOC's ability to evaluate quarterbacks and ability to if he's willing to let go of Sam Darnold, if in fact that's the direction they go. Think about what Kirk Cousins did at his age in that offense, and now picture Kirk Cousins at 23 or 24 with mobility. Like we get around these guys in college.
JJ, got it.
What JJ McCarthy did for Michigan to get them over the hump in 21. He was the quarterback, and there was a great defense and a lot of great players on that team. But he gets them over the hump where they beat Ohio State in 21, gets them to the playoff where they get embarrassed by Georgia, come back that year they ended up losing to TCU in a game they should have won. You guys remember that one.
Yeah, and then TCU gets embarrassed.
I mean, think of that 3-year run. Beat Ohio State, lose to Georgia. Beat Ohio State, get to the playoff, probably should have beat TCU, should have been in the national championship, come back the very next year and get it all done. That's on his back. That's him doing that. And you never know with quarterbacks, but watching these guys and watching the intangibles, putting KOC with J.J. McCarthy and the talent on that roster, to me, the Vikings go to another level with J.J. McCarthy and what I think he can do in that offense.
Get better with J.J. Saying, hey, what are we talking about? And also save a lot of money to build up that roster because you've already spent money on Justin Jefferson, another J.J., who's obviously phenomenal. He was on our show yesterday. Love that man.
Great.
I would like to let Kwesi, if you would like to trade him to Indy, I don't know if I have the power to make those decisions.